What's up, everybody? King of Breaker here. Today we're going to start a Conan the Barbarian playthrough. If you haven't heard of this game, that's totally okay. This was released by THQ back in 2007, I believe. This is an Xbox 360 game, and I've recently been on a huge Robert E. Howard kick and a Conan kick. I was trying to read as much as I could about the Barbarian, try to figure out the origins of swords and sorcery, and I came across this game and decided to give it a shot. It's very God of War. We're gonna play on hard because honestly, aside from enemies dying, there's really no difference between these, and bosses being a little easier. Between hard and king, normal enemies, there's literally no difference. It's very difficult to tell. I think maybe in king, enemies are a little more finicky, a little more aggressive, but for the most part, hard is a decent experience.
Careful, child. Don't get too close.
To be honest, I kind of want to skip these cutscenes. They're terrible. Essentially, this old lady is telling us the tale of Conan the Barbarian, and I'll fill us in from there. So, you play as Conan, and like most Conan stories, you're messing around as a reaver, as a raver, rioter. You are a place you shouldn't be, looking for treasure that really shouldn't be messed with. And these spirits, we don't belong here, and so they're here to mess us up. This stage acts as the introduction. Some things to talk about. So, Conan is capable of wielding a bunch of different kinds of weapons. So here we have sort of our sword. Here we have two swords, and at this point in the game you actually have access to all of Conan's moveset. So if you have played the game before, as I have, I've probably played this game a bunch of times, you can do a bunch of cool stuff if you just know exactly the abilities. So you can do stuff like this, and stuff like that, which clips enemies' legs. What I typically will do is I will play with the two-handed weapons. I like them a lot. They do a fudge ton of damage, and this is the move that we're actually going to be using almost exclusively on bosses. There's two-handed, there's dual wielding, and there's also sword and shield, which is kind of interesting because it's very much the two-handed is one-handed plus shield is the way that you get another enemy's weapon. So like this ability here will grab the other enemy's weapon and then chunk them in the head a couple of times. But just for fun, just because I enjoy it the most, we are going to be using our two-handed weapons. So you have different combos for each set of weapons. We also have grabs, which you can only do on human enemies, not spectral floating sets of armor. We're going to get rid of these guys fairly quickly. Bam. So not only do we have moves for each different set of weapons, but we also have grabs. So Conan, if he's facing an enemy, can grab them. He can do a slam, a pile driver, as well as a backbreaker in the style of Bane. You also, that's right, we can't access the ability menu right now. Actually, you know what? Because you guys are gonna get tired seeing just stuff like this. Let's use some. Let's see if we can. See if we can do some of the other abilities. So Conan also has access to parries, which I believe you guys may have seen me pull off earlier. That was not it. Let's see. What is? I think we have a stun in two-handed. Let's see if I can steal a weapon away. Actually, that's not how we do it. Yep, you can't grab stuff from wraiths either, which is unfortunate. So we can't really show off any of the abilities. than Conan has. With the one-handed stuff in this level. And I don't really enjoy, as I said, as the one-handed. I really like the two-handed shit. So that's what we're going to do. Cool. So this combo is really solid. This is XXB on the Xbox controller. Oh, it's another cool thing to talk about. I think the combat system is beautiful in this game. I think it's extremely well done. It's held back by this sort of lack of polish in this game, but it's a really, really solid experience. Conan has a bunch of different moves that he can play with and use to defeat enemies. He also has access to a dodge roll, which I think you guys might have seen, and me just not talking about it yet. So you have access to a dodge roll, which dodging mid-combo allows you to continue the combo after the dodge, which is super important for bosses. So there you go, we have our first treasure. Treasures give us red runes, which we can use to purchase new abilities. It's something that we're going to be doing a lot of. There you go. Let's see, what else? What else can we talk about? Oh, you have the dodge roll, but you also have a parry. So this is a sustained block if you hold the button, and it is a parry if you tap it. These guys are chumps. We're going to grind up, as astonished as Conan is by these incredible statues that are moving. We don't care, because we are going to grind them into rubble. Easy as pie. So while some interesting stuff happens to Conan in this level, so we want to avoid the falling stuff. There are stage hazards, not a ton, but they do exist in this game. So you'll notice, yeah, that thing tried to clock me. Kind of annoying. They don't often mess things up. They can. Okay, so what were we going to say? Oh, I was going to talk about the abilities. So you have a bunch of abilities that you can unlock for Conan. But what's cool is there's an extra level of complexity. After using a certain ability a set number of times, you will master that ability. Quotes around master. And after having mastered it, you will unlock, like, if you kill an enemy, you will receive different buffs. And by buffs, I mean different runes. Whether they be extra health from the defeated foe, or extra red runes, which will help level up Conan. So that's all you gotta do. Super easy. And some other abilities, like your magic. So that's really neat. Basically, there's this dude named Graven. He was messing with the underworld, got a bunch of power, was a huge jerk about it, and now we've released him. So we were looking for a treasure at the top of this fancy tower. It was actually holding in a super bad eldritch horror. We've unleashed him on the world. We lose all our armor, all that fancy stuff you saw Conan in, and we need to get it back. So one of the things that I really appreciated about this game is its dedication to its source material. I can't say that from what I've read, and I've been grinding through a bunch of Robert E. Howard's books, Conan is not always this shirtless barbarian. A lot of the times he's clad in mail, chainmail, stuff like that. He is not one to take blows unnecessarily. So actually, let's take a look at the combat menu here. So this main menu on the far left, where we've got Conan's head, this will show you your next unlockable ability, just for the entire tree. So here we have Body Throw, which is already unlocked, Body Slam, Pile Driver, and Backbreaker. Camel Punch is if you're far enough away and you can't grab, he'll just punch. We also have these on prone enemies. This is cool. So this is all of his one-handed abilities. I really like some of the names here, like Crom's Curse, like is just a classic call out to Conan stuff. I don't think. Oh, so Bel is God of Thieves in the Conan universe in Hyboria. Let's see, what else is there? So I mean, Hyborian Head Smash. Why not? I'm sure any other Conan buffs will be able to pick out some more stuff. Like I'm not sure who Gwaller is. But Black River Rage speaks of or sounds like something. The other stuff, not really much so, but the two-handed tree is actually my favorite. There's a lot of really deadly stuff here, and the Bloody Crown is actually one of Conan's stories, which is great. Stygia is a place that exists. Mitra is the god of Hyboria of Aquiline, I believe, which is Conan is the king of at the end of his life. So yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff, a bunch of cool nods to the original Robert E. Howard stuff. I don't think we actually need to buy anything yet. We have 180 red gems, or red runes. And I've actually been doing a bit of grinding to see if I can speedrun this game. It turns out, so here's our first human enemy. These little guys give you 3 red runes. They take like nothing to kill. And yeah, so I'll show off the parry system. So parries are on most enemies until later in the game a one-hit KO. Each skill tree has 3 special parries.
Can come down.
And they look awesome, and later in the game they're a super awesome, easy way to get rid of more difficult foes. Let's see, so you can throw things at people later in the game, while here we have sort of rocks and stuff. Yeah, later in the game we'll have stuff like, God, we knocked him for a loop. There's our Death Stomp. Let's see, so we have this, boom, and then we cut him in half. You notice there's a little slowdown to show off the sexiness. So we've mastered a move. Master moves can be used to gain extra HP, health, or armor power runes. The armor runes, it's interesting. That's like your magic in the game. Yeah, not terribly important at this juncture because we do not have anything yet. I'm just kind of hacking and slashing these guys because I don't have the ability I want yet. Pop this dude's head off. We'll pop this dude's head off. Once you get the timing for a lot of these abilities, they become second nature, and you can do them on a whim. It's super easy. This is my favorite parry of them all. You kick literally their arms, legs, and head off of their torso. It's incredible. There is an achievement for killing 100 enemies with boulder tosses, which means boulders, large boxes like this count towards your tally. I have yet to get that achievement. I've beat the game on King mode, which is the most difficult. I beat it on hard. I've gotten the most of the trophies. I got to play through it a couple more times to get them all. So we also have secrets. So secrets are, the treasure chests. So the treasure chests are worth 30 red runes. The tougher pirates that you notice were blocking some of my abilities, those guys will give you 5 runes. So the super cheap enemy, the super small dudes. And here is our first maiden. We rescue her.
You've saved me.
And we get to see some boobies. So outside of them being helpless and in need of aid, they will give you 100 red runes. So they are always worth finding if you are looking to get another ability and want a quick level up on the red runes. So yeah, it goes, I believe I remember I love that you can just chop dudes' arms off. That's amazing. So I believe it's 3 for these guys, 5 for these dudes. It is 20, I think, for the captain type enemies. 60 for a treasure chest and 100 for a lady. I might be a little off in those numbers. I'll check the next time we find some of that stuff. And actually, this is Gwaller's Leap. We literally slice the dude's arms off, as you can see. It's kind of hilarious. A really easy way to defeat enemies is to attack them once, wait, and then parry their next ability. They are really easy once you have the timing down. So now we're going to face our first captain enemy. These guys are interesting in the fact that they are a lot tougher. They have block breaking attacks, unlike our little friends. And they cannot be parried while their helmets are on, which is something we're going to try to do. We're going to try to knock his helmet off, and then we're going to try to parry him. Okay, so let's try this. I'm not the greatest at. There we go. Cool. So now that we have our two-handed weapon, which I'm going to be using a majority of the time, let's see what we can unlock. So one of the things that I like to try to do, and I'm actually trying to route out for the speedrun I'm sort of tentatively working on, is how to get from uppercut. So after you learn uppercut, you can choose either gem cutter or or Outlaw's Hilt. So I actually like the gem cutter into King's Execution better. It gets you to this third attack in King's Execution that does the most damage of any single attack in the game, and it is remarkably powerful. It will devastate any enemy. Yeah, so in general, that is what I'm kind of working towards. You have there's also, so just randomly, so you have arrows. They do dot damage, so they damage over time. Also, there's an achievement for, you can drink wine and get health back. What was I going to say? Oh, so there is dot damage from the arrows, but... Oh, you know what? I totally forgot what I was going to say. What were we talking about? Nah, it doesn't matter. Ooh. So we want... I believe that... Do you still lose... No, you don't lose health while you're... Oh, I remember what I was going to say. So there are a host of achievements in this game that are fairly easy. But one of them is don't get hit, right? Don't get a hit. In one chapter, avoid taking any kind of damage, and that ability, or that moment right there where you get shot by the archer, means that you can't do this level and get that achievement. Obviously, the easiest level is the beginning one, just playing the game on easy and duking it out with those dudes. Oh, that thing! I almost killed his buddy. He knocked him right out. Yeah, so for that achievement, you want to do easy mode and then just grind to the first mission where you have all of Conan's abilities. Shouldn't take you very long. It only takes me like maybe 20 minutes.
Stop.
Cool. So we have Akana. She is a main character in our quest to get our armor back.
Under whose flag do you stand?
The story is really bad.
I am Conan.
It's tremendously bad. It's offensively bad, to be honest. Robert E. Howard would he would not be pleased. Essentially, she's like, oh, the Black Death is consuming the land. We never learn what the Black Death is. It doesn't make any sense. She says it turns men into monsters. I was actually really excited. I was really excited to take on like animal men or like gross, inhuman beasts. That never happens, like, ever. So that was really disappointing, to be honest.
Strong words from a fair lady.
Yeah.
Do not mistake me for one of your helpless
So you can skip some
maidens,
cutscenes, and others you are
course not.
forced to watch.
After you.
Conan's voice is, to be honest, fairly awesome. This is, oh my gosh, Ron Perlman. Yeah, so, like, who doesn't want to listen to Ron Perlman talk? So the captains can throw little bombs, little grenades. They blow up, and I did not realize they had that huge of a radius. Holy Christmas! So you have an archer up there. It's kind of a dick. So this block breaking attack is. Let's see if we can. Let's pull out this, and then we'll chop the fruit. And then we'll die. So one of the things that is difficult, at least early in the game, is using the two-handed weapon, whatever one it is, and dealing with the captains. Once you've unlocked some of Conan's other abilities, they become much easier to deal with. But early game, they're just they're a little more difficult. Plus, I wasn't playing that one very patiently. I was getting flustered with the our archer buddy who was messing me up. So all we gotta do is this. This is great. Stairway to Steps of Hell. Cool. So we can do our standard 3-hit combo here, and oh, this is a block breaking attack, which will bust up Conan's block. So, oh yeah, that's the other thing. So there's more lag on the end of Conan's single strike. So the timing on the parry is much tighter. So I'm gonna try to get this to. This is gonna help me out later. Never mind. So we hacked that dude in half, and we have archers harrying us from a screen away. We have a secret here we're just going to get. And then Akana wants us to free her crewman. So we are going to do that. Get out of here. So one of the things I actually I really like about this game is death is never all that punishing. It's not that big a deal. Some things that are kind of fun though, you can impale enemies on things, which is super fun. And just enemies that you don't want to deal with, it's always just kind of fun to pig stick them. So our next crewman is over here, and we probably have a decent amount of runes at this point that we could, like, we could do some fancy stuff with. So let's see if we have anything. 211? Nope, we don't have anything right now. Boom. So one of the things that we want to master right away, which I totally forgot as I've been playing, is the uppercut ability, XY. So this is great because it sends opponents flying, and we're going to a chance to hit a ton of enemies with this ability right now. Boom! It's actually the number of enemies you hit is what determines the mastery level. So the more enemies you hit with a single ability, the higher the mastery will be, which is great. It's helpful for these large groups, so we almost have it mastered. Oof, Crom's Curse, what up? There we go. So we're hacking dudes up. We're almost there. And I think, oh, we bopped him off the edge, which is great. There's an achievement for that as well. You get, I can't remember what it is. I can't remember what the achievement is, but you have to knock 100 dudes off the off of a cliff. Geometry. So the floor. I don't know if you guys noticed, but a couple of times I would sort of roll and then try to attack, and I would almost be in the air. So there are things in this game that will put you up off the ground, and if you try to attack, you go into that that aerial strike animation, which is really frustrating because sometimes it can absolutely ruin whatever it is, whatever combo you're trying to do, and it just, oh man, it messes it up so bad. You end up taking a fudge ton of damage from a bad guy, and donezo. Cool. So let's boom, pull this guy's heart out. I love the intestines. It's ridiculous. This game's ridiculous, and stupid amounts of fun. If you can get past the terrible amount of like just unpolished shit that you have to deal with later in the game. Parries are always great. Mastering them early is awesome. So that's what I was talking about. So there you go. So we got 5 green runes. Each time we kill an enemy with uppercut, we get 5 green runes. So this is helpful if you know that you currently are dealing with some like difficult enemies and you are going to need health back. You can sort of plan your attacks around the specific abilities you need to, to shore up your strength.
He's only one man.
Nope, that's not how you do it. Cool. And later in the game, you'll see me I think you'll see me using that, using specific abilities to defeat specific enemies a lot more often than you'll see it now. Cool, so we've almost made it to the end of the second area. The docks, the wharf, whatever. Let's see if we can knock this dude off. There are times where you can combo off of uppercut into other abilities while they're airborne. That can also be done to you. You will get your poop pushed in later in the game if you decide to do any kind of aerial ability. And you can get chain combo. So we're going to attack this dude at the top, because he always does the same thing. So we want to attack him first. He is the most vulnerable, and then we want to roll away. We want to separate him from his friends, and then we want to parry. You have to defeat all 3 of these guys before you can continue on. You can take the fight down below. Oof. So this is exactly what we want. Dude, look at that. That's beautiful. Let's see. See if we can get there we go. Okay, so I've got the timing down a little bit better. There's that slow-mo slice in half. I love it, I love it, I love it. Cool. Agreed. That was excellent, Akana. Thank you. So I believe we need 600 for our next ability. Cool. So, no big deal. That's what we'll do. So now we get on Akana's boat, and we sail the coast. Honestly, doesn't matter. It's not super important. If you are looking for a story-based mission, or excuse me, a story-based playthrough where we kind of go over the lore of this game, I'd be more than happy to take a crack at it. This is a terrible loading screen, but that's the guy in the sky is your enemy. Is the final boss of this first area. It's not clear. We also have to help Akana's. There's a lot of us shooting, not trebuchets, but sort of catapults at enemy ships. So this is our first rune triumvirate. This is the health triumvirate. So this is essentially how you improve your health. So you have 3 different resources. You have health. You have you have health. The Song of Death, which we will unlock later after the first boss. Oh my gosh, can't talk. I'm not even thinking. So you have your health, you have the Song of Death, and then you have your armor abilities, all of which have take different resources. Let's see if we actually hit somebody. Oh, we did. We clocked the archer. I think. Let's grab him, and I think. Oh well, we didn't throw him there, but I think you can throw those dudes off the edge if you so choose. So I believe that the first captain isn't for a little bit, so we'll be sticking with a two-handed weapon for a little bit, just because I really want to try to get Gem Cutter again. The Gem Cutter into the King's, what is it? The Bloody Crown. That movie is just so incredibly powerful and really fun to use that I want to show it off. I don't know if it makes a ton of sense for the first boss. For Bonecleaver, that's our first boss. But it might, and let's give it a shot. So here, Akana is peppering she's peppering the coast with arrows for us. Who is shooting those arrows? Nobody knows. And we have the most poorly designed enemy ship that I have ever seen. It literally just had, like, I don't know, some weird stuff on it that was super boring and nondescript. Conan is really friggin' strong and can throw shit for miles. Also, you noticed how long it took me to kill those enemies just hacking away with my light attacks. So it is much easier to just parry them to death, which is something that we are going to do. It unlocks our parry, or it helps us master the parry. Which is great, but
your miserable life
makes it much easier it makes it much quicker for these sections to go by. Otherwise, you're just kind of sitting around. So you actually cannot. Let's see if we can toss this guy off the edge. Nope. So you cannot. Oh, I don't know what I was going to try to say. So you need to. So for the ship, and for all these ships, I think there's 3 we have to destroy. 3 or 2. You have to shoot them at the front, in the middle, and in the back. You cannot shoot a spot that you have already shot. Otherwise, it will just kind of all the damage will be negated. Did that door get destroyed before any arrows hit it? Interesting. I've never seen that before. So here we go. We are at a little camp of dudes, and we are going to hopefully trick them into walking. God, I love this. Bam! Oop. Trick them into attacking us and then parrying their foolish attempts to bring down Conan the Barbarian. I love that. You cannot. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. So you cannot parry. You cannot block arrows unless you have a shield. There is friendly fire, as you can see. But that's great. That's super good. That's exactly what we want to see. We want to see enemies hurting themselves. In most cases, you cannot be hurt in parry animations, that with arrows and projectiles being an exception. Thank gosh, because we parry a lot. Also, grabs present quite a bit of invincibility, so anytime you do go to grab somebody and kill them, there's a ton of invincibility, which is something we may or may not have used in the last stage of the game. Cool, so
We'll
let's...
kill you, and then we'll kill your force.
Alright, let's see what we can do about this guy.
Die!
So actually the fastest way to do this is if he does block, just attack once, then he'll go into his attack animation. You don't have to go through your entire attack. Otherwise, you know, it's not like he's gonna... Jeez. I think that... Let's see if we can get this again. Not gonna lie, I'm like determined to get this. I really like pairing these dudes. Cool. Also, I feel like I should be able to do it way more consistently than I actually do. First, let's check. Okay, cool. So we're gonna get Gem Cutter. Gem Cutter is a awesome ability for fighting the captain guys. The first hit, your hard swing, your hard attack. Why? This. Any abilities with this sort of orange glow at the end, they are block breakers. So you notice that the captains block a lot. We have a very easy way to get around that.
Nice work, Conan.
Crap, we won't even have to. We can just let him die in this firestorm. So, first one is a block breaker, and then the second is actually a hit of whatchamacallit, is a hit of it's a stun. So totally awesome. Does a fudge ton of damage. And like, well, excuse me, the stun doesn't do a ton of damage. It does just enough. It does a normal amount of damage. But this, boom, that leading into just a straight up. Oh, dude, it does so much damage later in the game. This into the bloody crown. Oh my gosh. But I absolutely adore the fact that it is a frickin' block breaker, because so many enemies later in the game like block a ton. Oh, that was nice. So let's see if we can get this guy on the... Yes. Impale him. So the same goes with this ship. We are going to shoot it in the front. We're going to shoot it in the back. And we're going to save the day. I think all the enemies are gone from this area. Let's see if this is close enough to the middle. Okay, be good, guy. Don't attack me. Oh. I love it. I love carving dudes up. Oof, so beautiful. Such wow. Oof. And goodbye. So we get some of those runes. No. We definitely do not want to go back to one-handed. I have never lost the game, even on my first playthrough, even in my speedruns, from one of those ships destroying a Conan ship. It just has never happened, which is good. We are coming up on our next little secret area. So let's... Oh, come on, man. That's not cool. Not cool.
Let Crown judge you.
Goodbye. So we've got a secret. Actually, you know what? Let's see how much we... So we have 322. Let's see how much that chest gets. Is it 30? Oh. Okay, so that's 60. So I was right. It is 60, and then these ladies will give us 100. So we're at 382. We'll be at 482.
Let me repay
hey, lady. 482 after we're done, right? Perfect. So we need 1,000 red runes to unlock King's Execution, which is, in my opinion, and this is talking from a perspective speedrunners, like perspective, a prospective speedrunner's perspective. I believe that it is the best ability in the game for dealing damage and hurting enemies. So we don't even need to save. I am not at all concerned. I think one of the things maybe I forgot to mention, because I was blathering along, is that Conan, this game, has very forgiving checkpoints. Depending on the part you're at, I never felt like I was set super far behind. Which is great. Like, that's something that I really appreciate in a game like this, which can be very punishing if you don't understand the mechanics and you don't understand what enemies are capable of. So that's awesome. That's something I personally really appreciated. So we were able to land quite a few hits on the enemy. So let's see if we can. Man, I feel like I should be getting these parries a little better than I have. Let's see. There we go. And then we get the steps of hell. Boom! And we slice them in half. I love it. I love that. Cool. So I think that it's going to take us until the very end of this level to actually get the what was I going to say? To get our king's the bloody crown. I believe that, like, everything all said and done, like killing every enemy, getting every secret, will net you roughly 1,100 if you get both secrets at the beginning of the whatchamacallit mission, the sort of introductory mission. Actually, let's see if we can get this. Nope, we can't get it first try. Let's see if we can get a second try. Third try. Too fast. Too fast again. There we go. So in a speed run, hopefully I would get these much quicker than I have been.
Take 'em out.
Because right now I'm doing a piss poor job nailing these combos. Okay, cool. So we are now heading up here. There's not a lot to talk about, to be honest. We are going to grind up more enemies. We are going to try to avoid getting shot. And, like I mentioned, if need be, we can use these specific abilities that we've been given. I love it. To get back our health. So let's quit these guys from attacking me. It's getting a little frustrating. I'm actually not sure how and why normal enemy drops happen. Like, why did I get that large green orb after killing that dude? I'm not quite sure. Doesn't really matter. But it would be nice to know, especially if it was maybe number of enemies or something, so you could plan for that maybe in a run, in a speed run. So now, undoubtedly this catapult. No, what do you call this? Do you call this a scorpion? Do you call this just a giant crossbow? I know there's some fancy term for it. I think it was called a scorpion in some other games I've played. But we take out our two archers up here, which releases the drawbridge, which allows us across. We probably bop that guy off the and then we'll stop him.
Die!
So this guy was very easy. We didn't even have to go for parry, which is super cool. And this is the end of this. This is almost the end of this level. So we have this little area to run through, and where are we at on orb? Okay, 709. We're doing okay.
Stand where you are.
Let's see. Can we? You know what? It doesn't matter. I think we can knock those guys up and off,
Name.
but it doesn't matter. Oh, I love that the archers cringe. They're like, "Nah, dude, I don't want any part of the barbarian stuff you have going on." Also, most enemies in this game are really passive, so they will. What I mean by that is they will only attack if you attack them. A lot of enemies will just watch you skate by, and like that's an interesting. He was above me. I death stomped him. There's not a lot of enemies in this game that will give you a ton of trouble if you just are running past them. They will, in most cases, let you do whatever you want. You have to be attacking to draw their aggro. Otherwise, they, to be honest, don't give a crap about you.
One less dog in the streets.
So let's impale that dude.
You're far from home, barbarian scum.
My blade thirsts.
Get this guy, and I love that you can roll out of a large majority of your abilities. That is super helpful at like every point of the game.
Face Crom now.
Okay, so let's see if we can do this a little bit better. So let's do second try. Nope. How about third try? How about fourth try? Gosh. Well, now I'm just gonna kill him. Dang it. I will do a better job later. Cool, so we are on to the boss of this area, Bonecleaver. At this point, I think I think we'll probably build enough. You know what? I'm not even going to save it. So I have all those save files. Those are actually save files before every boss. I've been practicing my boss fights and my boss patterns. I can handle most bosses fairly easily as long as I'm not being really greedy with my strats. So I will show you guys kind of the best way to beat Bonecleaver. This is probably the worst cutscene. So we have Conan. He walks into this sort of arena. There's spikes everywhere. There's dudes in cages. This big honking guy comes out. Conan's like sizing him up. Show us some nipple. Show us a gauntlet. And then you show us his eyes for like 10 seconds. Why? Why do we get to see his eyes? What is the point of that? So first, Bonecleaver sends a bunch of these wimpy dudes out at us. We don't care. We're not getting hurt by these guys. They are super easy to cut down to size. So really easy. We can carve them up super easy with uppercut to make sure that we are getting our health back. So this is something that's just really useful to know. A lot of people probably didn't notice the benefits on all the masteries despite that tooltip showing up. So making sure that you don't get tag teamed by all these guys is really useful, and making sure to use your parry whenever you get a chance, because again, like, these guys are, they can be really frustrating to deal with. Also, yes, so you notice the archers, they shoot explosive rounds. Very painful. Great. They shoot them. They shoot far. Let's see if we can avoid all of that. But they will also really hurt enemies. Thanks, we didn't get any health from that guy. That's okay. We should, to be honest, we shouldn't need any health pickups. Let's see if any of those guys get exploded. Nah. So this is our first captain, bro. I think you end up, this is where you end up getting a lot of your points. I think these guys will give you 30 points. Or excuse me, 30 red runes. And we get some health back from these dudes too. Let's see if we can impale that guy. Love it. Let's see actually how much we have. So we have 1,028, so I'm going to show you my favorite ability in the game. This is called the King's Execution. Boom! So we're not gonna, we wanna, bam! So he already has his hat off. And we get the parry first. Go! Nice! Let's impale these dudes. Just a really quick way to get rid of single enemies. So what you really want to do is you want to block, and then boom, look at that. He already has his... Oop. So that is very painful. He's going to blow himself up. Which is something we have no problem with. So we want to get away from any... Ooh, that was nice. So that was his block breaker attack into... That was great. We got some health back. So that was his block breaker into another ability, just a really fast strike. So I think we can, yeah, there we go. So I think we are out of range. Yes, and we got some health. Cool, so now we are going to take on Bonecleaver. Bonecleaver, we get to see, I think, his eyes again. Yes, so cool. Such good camera work here. Why are we not, so at first I thought that they hadn't animated his face, because even then he's talking now. But no. There it is, his face. Also, I think that he was up. You're supposed to be up on top of the arena. Conan's looking up. Okay, cool. So he has a couple of abilities. He has that, which you can avoid easily. Oh. So those are all block breakers. And you just want to do this over and over again. Hopefully you don't get I did. I got comboed. And that ability has no vertical hitbox, which is awesome. You know what? I think we can afford to go get some health. Because he can't possibly hit me from there. As long as you stay close, he typically doesn't do that ability. So I want you to see how much... So when he has... Look at that, I love it. So no vertical hitbox, as I said. And then you just carve him up like a little turkey. Bop, 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 bop. And Bonecleaver is dead. And we get our first armor, or I think we get our first piece of armor back. To be honest, I don't care about this, guys. So we get our first piece of armor back, which unlocks the Song of Death. Cool. So that took us about 45 minutes. To finish that level. That was killing every enemy to make Gem Cutter available to us as quickly as possible. Definitely ways to speed that up. But yeah, that is the first level of Conan. And stick around. I'm going to be playing every level until the end of the game. The end of the game is a freaking nightmare though, so we might be playing around with that. Yeah, so if you enjoyed it, let me know. If not, doesn't matter. I'm gonna keep making these. All right, thanks guys. Later.